Since 2014, the revolutionary force in retro entertainment. Hey guys, Retro here. Today I will be ranking the Rocky films, all 6 films. Now, of course, this goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. This is just my personal opinion. If you have a different opinion, that's perfectly fine. And as a matter of fact, I like to see that opinion in the comments. If you want to do that, I will take a look. But yeah, and I won't be including the Creed movies here because I don't think it'd be fair. I do like them, but it wouldn't be fair. Creed would have no match against my nostalgia for the original Rocky movies. So, but yeah, so here we go. Don't take this too seriously. This is for relaxation purposes, for the most part. Okay, we start off with, so I'll go from my least favorite to my most favorite. So this would be my 6th favorite, I guess. Rocky. B-A-L-B-O-A. Rocky Balboa. Now, I'm sure many of you would disagree with that, and again, that's fine. But this was the last Rocky movie to be released. Well, so far anyways. It was released December 20th, 2006. Written and directed by Sylvester Stallone. And by the way, this is just going to be rambling. I did very little preparation for this. And some of these I haven't seen in quite a while, so just going by memory here. But yeah, I mean, I do like this movie, but it's the least enjoyable Rocky movie for me. There's just something about it. Well, first of all, visually, it's kind of weird looking. I know they went back to their greeny roots, kind of, but I don't know, something just looks really weird. I don't know if it's the color correction or what. And speaking of weird, also I love Stallone, but he looks odd in this movie. I don't know what it is. He's 60 years old and he has like jet black hair. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's the eyebrows. I'm not really sure what it is, but something looks a little, I would say, off-putting about him. But credit to him, he got into great shape, regardless of how he did it. For that age, that's pretty remarkable. But that's also another problem, is the villain in the movie, and I don't even remember his name. Hang on, let me reference it here. Mason the Line Dixon. I believe he's a real boxer in real life. I don't think that's his real name. But he just wasn't a good quote-unquote villain. Like, he didn't look intimidating. I don't know, you didn't want to see Rocky like really destroy him all that much. He was just kind of meh, and physically, Rocky was like way bigger than, way more muscular than him. So it's like, what's the threat here? Yeah, I guess the threat is that Rocky's 60 years old, but still, just didn't have that visual threat aspect to it. Yeah, it was depressing. Adrian's dead. She died of cancer or something like that, and I understand why they did that for the story, but again, kind of depressing. And you see like how old, what's his name? His brother-in-law there. Oh my god, I'm blanking here. Paulie. You see how old he's gotten and everything, and I don't know, it's kind of a downer. But the good thing about the best part of this movie is that speech he does with his son in the movie, where he's like, life's not all sunshine and rainbows, blah blah blah. It's not about how hard you get hit. It's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. So that was like a great, memorable moment in the movie. I just wish there were more memorable parts like that in the movie. But speaking of the way it looks, the final fight actually looked good. I think they filmed it the same way they film actual boxing matches on TV. I don't know, but that looked pretty good. So yeah, I would put this in the 6th position. Let me know if you disagree. I'm sure quite a few of you will. Okay, next up in the 5th position is Rocky v. Adrian's Revenge. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so this one isn't a great movie, but it's not as nearly as bad as most people say it is. I still find it entertaining. It's true, it's kind of like Rocky Balboa in the sense that there's a lot of depressing things, like he loses everything. He has to go back to the old neighborhood and, somewhat live in poverty to some degree. And he can't fight anymore because of all the injuries he's gotten over the years, and after fighting Drago, the fourth one. And a lot of people complain that, you don't see Rocky in an actual boxing match, which is true. I agree that sucks. But, the guy's like, how old was he in this movie? Like, close to 50, 45 at least. But I do find it kind of entertaining. The fight at the end is great with Tommy Morrison. He's the quote-unquote villain. Rocky takes him under his wing to train him to be, a championship boxer, but then he gets corrupted by this Don King type of promoter guy who wants them to fight each other, but Rocky doesn't want to, and then they just end up having a street fight on the streets. And from what I understand, the original script, Rocky was supposed to die, but the executives are rather like, no, you can't have him die because, keep the possibility open for sequels. But so they changed it, and I think that was for the better. I don't think it would have been good if Rocky died. That would have been too much of a downer. You don't need to kill him off. But I forgot to mention, this came out in November 16th of 1990. And it was directed by John G. Avildsen? I don't know if I'm saying that right. And written by Stallone, of course. But yeah, and I thought that, a lot of people criticized Tommy Morrison's, he played Tommy Machine Gun in the movie, but Tommy Morrison's acting, I didn't think it was actually that bad for a guy with no acting background, as far as I'm aware of. And also like some moments where Rocky and Adrian were arguing and fighting, and not physically fighting, but one part when they're on the street and they're yelling at each other, whatever, like you feel it, you believe it, right? It's believable. Acting. There was a lot of corny stuff in there too, like with the son, played by his real son. Like the home team stuff and all that was kind of corny, but I find it overall to be an entertaining and satisfying movie when, Rocky wins a street fight at the end. The promoter guy's like, touch me and I'll sue. And he punches him, he's like, sue for what? Or something like that. So yeah, I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people say it is. But at the same time, it's certainly not a fantastic movie. All right, now we're moving on to the number 4th spot. For this one, I pick Rocky 2. And this one's good, but before I do that, I'll say written, directed by Stallone, and released June 15th, 1997. I'd probably give it a better ranking, but it's very similar to the first one. But spoilers, except for this one, he wins. The first one, he doesn't. That's the main difference. He fights Apollo Creed again. He marries Adrian. She gets pregnant, but then she delivers the baby. But then there's a problem, and she goes into a coma or something. But before that, Rocky's like, oh, the doctor says his eye's messed up. He can't box anymore. So he tries to do like commercials and stuff, but he can't read. So he keeps screwing up the cue cards. And then he tries to get other kind of work. So he ends up working back in that meat packing plant or whatever. But finally he's like, screw it, I want to fight again. But Adrian didn't want that. So that was the whole drama of the movie, I guess. And then finally, one thing I thought was weird was when Adrian has a baby, but then she goes into a coma, and Rocky's like, I don't want to see the baby until Adrian comes out of a coma, which I thought that was weird. It's like, really? You're going to abandon your child, essentially? Not abandon, like obviously nurses are taking care of the baby, but, your baby needs to bond with somebody, so I thought that was kind of weird, but it is what it is. And, anyway, long story short, he fights Apollo Creed again, and he wins this time, so... again, it's good. It's just this look and feel is too similar to the first one. So it's not one that I would typically go for if I want to watch a Rocky movie. I don't have too much else to say about Rocky 2. Okay, now we're in the 3rd spot. And Rocky 3. Just a coincidence it happens to be in the third spot. Yeah, this is a classic one. This is when the series, became more over the top and that kind of thing. And this is the one with Mr. T and Hulk Hogan's in it. In the beginning, it was kind of cool to see Rocky fight a wrestler in like an exhibition charity match or something like that. Mr. T was good. I mean, he's not a good actor, but he was good in the role. He posed a real threat to Rocky. So the story is that, Rocky's about to retire. And then Mr. T challenges him, but his manager, Mickey, is like, no, you don't need that. And then he finds out that his manager's been giving him easy opponents, basically to protect him, so he won't lose. And this bothers Rocky a lot. And then anyways, he goes to fight. He doesn't really take the training and whatnot seriously. But then he goes into the fight with Mr. T, whose name is Clubber Lang in the movie. But then before that, Mr. T pushes Mickey and he has a heart attack or something like that. He's like dying or whatever. And then Rocky loses the fight, and then Mickey dies. And so there's the drama, and he kind of loses his mojo, so to speak. And then Apollo Creed comes in and agrees to train Rocky for the upcoming rematch. And that was the whole Eye of the Tiger thing. That's why they introduced that. That's why they had the song in the movie, which is a fantastic song, by the way. Definitely classic. So yeah, the whole thing's about him getting his mojo back, so to speak. He eventually does, and he eventually beats Mr. T. My biggest problem with this one is the fact that he fights Mr. T twice kind of takes a lot of the wind out of the sails. You know what I mean? Like especially the final match, it's pretty short. It's kind of underwhelming, I guess, and he just kind of wins, and then that's that, right? So the final match didn't have the impact that the final match has in the other Rockies. So I would say that's my biggest complaint about this movie. But still very, very entertaining, definitely. And the scenes where he's training with Apollo and then they're running on the beach side by side and stuff like that, it's just classic stuff. Very inspirational indeed. Okay, now we're going to the number 2 spot. And we get just plain old Rocky. The first film. And this one came out, it was written by John G. Avildsen. I learned how to say that one day. And it was released in December 3rd, 1976. And yeah, it's a classic movie. I'm sure most of you have seen it. I hope you have seen it. If you haven't, you should go see it. Even if you don't know anything about boxing, it's fine. It's more about life than about boxing, I guess. But you got Rocky. He's this kind of, I guess you could say, a loser kind of character. He boxes, but just locally. And he's kind of squandering his gift to some degree. He's working as a loan shark collector, whatever you call those guys, collector, I don't know. But he doesn't, I don't think he ever hurts anybody, or at least they insinuate that. And then he gets, long story short, he gets a chance to fight the world champion, Apollo Creed. And he does, and he loses, surprisingly. But what do you call it? When the judges have to decide or whatever. Actually, I think it was a tie, but when it's a tie, the belt doesn't change. The belt stays with the champion, I guess. But anyways, technically he lost. Very inspirational movie for sure, with the training montage and stuff like that. And very low budget. According to, Wikipedia, the budget was $860,000. I don't know if that's adjusted for inflation, but it drew in the box office $225 million. So that's a big return on a low budget like that. It's amazing. That not only catapulted Rocky, the character, into the mainstream, but Sylvester Stallone as well. Stallone has said that the character mirrors his real life very closely throughout the series. The actors in the movie are fantastic. You have Carl Weathers, who plays Apollo Creed, is easily the best actor in the entire series. I really enjoy his work in these movies. And again, he has that really good physique. which you didn't see too many actors with that kind of physique back then. I don't know how much of that was for the movie or he already had that physique. I don't know. I'm guessing he already had that physique. But anyway, he's great. Adrian, what's her name? Talia Shire? Yeah, I guess. Burgess Meredith, who plays Mickey, he's fantastic as well. So great cast. Oh, the music is so memorable. What's not to like about this movie? I highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it, see it. That's all I can say about that one. Okay, and finally, number 1. If you couldn't already figure it out, Rocky 4 will be my favorite Rocky movie ever, and probably one of my favorite movies ever. This is the quintessential, definitional, if that's a word, 80s movie. The music is just so 80s. Actually, it's by Vince DiCola, the music, which he also did the Transformers, the movie soundtrack. Oh, and I forgot again. Let me do this. It was released November 21st, 1985, and directed and written by Stallone. I probably forgot to do that for half of them, but it's okay. But anyways, yeah, and this is the one where he fights Drago, and by winning that match, he ends the Cold War or something. I don't know, bro. But yeah, it's great. Drago, played by Dolph Lundgren, is an amazing villain boxer that he has to fight. It just looks so intimidating. He's got that physique. He's tall. And then, of course, first he fights Carl Weathers. That's Apollo, and he literally kills him. He dies in the ring. Oh, and I love the before that match, there's the Living in America by James Brown. That's it. Fantastic song. And then when Drago's coming in for that fight, Drago, whatever, the theme he has is very similar to the Unicron theme. So you can just tell by listening to the music that it's the Transformers guy. But anyways, yeah, and then he dies, and then of course Rocky has to, step up and avenge his friend's death. And he goes to Russia to train because the match is going to be in Russia, and there's all these training montages and sequences with awesome music. And then it's just awesome. And then I like the part where he's training and Drago's training, and they show like they're cutting back and forth. They're showing like Drago using like technology and all that stuff, and like injecting suspicious substances into his arm. And Rocky's just in like this barn lifting rocks and stuff like that, and he's running in the snow, and he literally runs up a mountain instead of the Philadelphia steps to whatever that place is, museum or whatever it is. So yeah, it's just so many memorable moments in this movie. It's amazing. And then, yeah, it sucks that Apollo died because he's a great character, but, it's kind of necessary to tell this kind of story, I guess. And, yeah, this is definitely my favorite Rocky movie, one of my favorite movies of all time. When I want to see a Rocky movie, this is the one I usually go to. And if you're only going to see one Rocky movie, you should check this one out. Anyway, there's my list, how I would rank the Rocky films. So going from number 1 to 6, I would do Rocky 4, Rocky 3, Rocky 2, Rocky 5, and Rocky Balboa. So once again, I'd like to see what you guys think in the comments, how you would rank them. And with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it relaxing, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye.